Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the Achiever in You, and by Burns & Scallow Roofing and Real Estate, dedicated to improving the profitability and sustainability of our clients. Visit our website to learn about the power of two. Our region's business. Innovation, transformation, momentum, improving our communities and driving technologies that will shape our region for generations. The collaboration that brings vitality, prosperity, and life to living. Stay with us for the coming half hour as we examine in depth our region's business. Now, here's your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on Our Region's Business, a rising star in Pittsburgh's restaurant scene that's attracting national attention, plus health exchanges, the private option under Obamacare. But first, Pennsylvania's pension time bomb and why it's critical to take action now. By some estimates, more than 1/4 of all the municipal pension plans in the country are located in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, many of them with fewer than 10 participants. The fragmentation is a recipe for high costs and anemic returns. And not only that, many of the plans are underfunded, which is a big driver of municipal distress across the state. Just how did the Commonwealth find itself in this situation, and what's to be done about it? Well, Chad Amond's been looking into it as a member of the Coalition for Sustainable Communities. His day job is as president of the Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce. And welcome. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Bill. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this is a big issue, and it's an issue that a lot of people really aren't aware of. A lot of attention paid, let's say, the city of Pittsburgh or the city of Philadelphia. This pension issue is really everywhere.
It really is. It's widespread. Pennsylvania has 67 counties, and 66 of them have at least one local government that is in distress, financial distress.
66 out of the 67 counties?
That's right. And
often it is actually the county seat in many cases, right?
It could be. I mean, it really could be the community that you live in, the community that I live in. It's widespread across the Commonwealth. In fact, about 40% of all Pennsylvanians live in a community that's fiscally distressed.
Wow, and we hear the big ones that fall over in Act 47 and
That's
sort
right.
of for protection under the state. There's lots of others, I guess, teetering on the brake.
That's right. There are about 30 municipal governments in Act 47 right now. The communities that you know, Reading, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, but there are a number of other communities that either could be in Act 47 or maybe should be in Act 47. And so it's an issue that faces the entire Commonwealth, not just here in southwestern Pennsylvania, and it's one that we need to address.
What was the genesis of it in the first place? How do we get ourselves in this pickle?
I think that if you go back to 1968, there was Act 111 that was passed, and it was great at the time. Made perfect sense. Basically what it did was it required binding arbitration for firefighters and police officers, and it makes sense even today to a certain degree.
Sure, you don't want them striking. Obviously, it's critically important to have them there to protect all of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're some of the most important employees that we could have in local government, and our effort as a part of the Coalition for Sustainable Communities really is focused on making sure that we shore up our local governments, because at the end of the day, whether it's business and residents or municipal governments themselves or labor, we're all inextricably connected in that we need our local governments to be sustainable and thrive for us to live in good communities.
But this binding arbitration provision that was implemented back in the 60s, that somehow has fed the growth of these pension obligations across the state?
It has. It's ballooned wages, it's ballooned pension benefits, and so I think that the real answer here is to rein that back in so that we protect those important employees, give them job security, give them predictable retirement, but so that we also are able to have our local governments be able to provide the services that business and residents need. And for our elected officials in these local governments, we're hamstringing them in that they are increasingly less able to do the things that they may have run for office to do, to make their community a better place to live. When a larger piece of the pie that they're able to spend on local services is taken up with legacy costs, they're less effective in the jobs that they were elected to do.
So, you know, I don't want to do away with binding arbitration. This is really about just reforming the way it works to prevent some of this from occurring again in the future or continuing on?
That's right. There's a couple of key tenets of our proposal. One is that we would reform the spiking that everyone talks about. Sort of, if you're thinking of it as someone on their retirement journey running a marathon, spiking is maybe jumping on a bike and pedaling faster than everyone else the last 2 years. So you'd work a ton of overtime and try to build up what your income is.
So the pension's based on your income in your last couple of years instead of sort of the run of your entire career, right?
That's exactly right. One of the other reforms that we think is critically important is to move away from a defined benefits plan and move more towards either a hybrid with defined benefit and defined contribution, or a defined contribution plan similar to 401k. I think that as business leaders, as municipal government leaders, we need to realize that there is nothing that is sacred about defined benefit plans. The business community moved towards a defined contribution maybe 20 years ago, and it's more the norm now than the exception to the rule. And I think that local governments need to move in that same direction.
Now, a lot of attention in Harrisburg right now is sort of the state pensions issue, because the state has these big plans, but something, this is another whole area that's got to be taken a look at as well, what's happening at the municipal level.
That's exactly right. You talk about the number of pension plans, 3,200 pension plans in Pennsylvania. You mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, of those 3,200 pension plans, that makes up a quarter of all pension plans in the country, and most of those pension plans have 10 or fewer active participants. The unfunded pension liabilities just for local governments in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is somewhere around $6.5 to $7 billion. When you look at the state's unfunded pension liabilities, that number swells by 10 to somewhere around 10 times to somewhere around $67 billion in unfunded pension liabilities. It's a huge problem for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it goes the whole way from the state level clear down to the local governments that may only have a handful of employees.
It's not going to be a quick overnight fix for any of this, but at some point you've got to get started, right?
That's right. That's right. It's going to be a long haul. There's going to be a lot of tough decisions that are made, but if we want to live in communities that are able to provide the businesses and residents with sustainable services and better places to live, we need to start attacking the problem.
All right. Well, for the sake of full disclosure, I should mention that the Allegheny Conference, which co-produces this program, is a member of the Coalition for Sustainable Communities. So, Chad, on behalf of the Coalition, thanks, as well as the Westmoreland County Chamber. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
And next up, a private sector approach to providing health care exchanges under Obamacare. Stay with us.